Hey everyone, this is your favorite radio host, your only radio host, Corinne Lafont on Between the Lines. And I have with me today on this beautiful day I'm broadcasting from Trinidad and Tobago. It's a bit overcast, but it's beautiful to me nevertheless, because I'm so grateful to be alive, to be able to witness it and experience it. So I have with me today Chris Stefanik. He is the host of a personal development podcast called Choice Conversations. As a life coach and self-improvement junkie, Chris is passionate about helping people to grow in all areas of their life, be it relationships, health, career, and more. And we're featuring his site right now. As I say this, and I'm just going to, before I welcome and officially, say hey to Chris, I just want to show that he has various categories here on his site: communication, economics, education, a lot of different options that you can look under, and archives from 2009 to 2018. So he's been doing this for a while. And of course, you can see just a short description about his podcast there. Beautiful site, if I might say so myself. I love it. It's a beautiful podcast website. Simple, easy to follow, easy to just click and go. And I actually clicked on one and started listening. But he has a beautifully laid out site that you can enjoy and select which episode that you want to listen to. So welcome, Chris, to Between the Lines.
Corinne, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yes, and we're talking today about what's the big deal about personal development. And why I said what's the big deal, because that's exactly how people might say it or will say it or have said it to me. What's the big deal, about personal development? It's like, really, what can it do for you? I've had people said to me, and I was just thinking about this last night. It came to me, people say, the people that write these books, they have an agenda. They want you to buy their books. What do they know? What's it? Yeah, that kind of a thinking. I want you to kind of help me understand, why would somebody say something like that? Where is that coming from?
Well, I think when you talk about personal development and you're talking about it to somebody who's not already on board, it's a completely different conversation if it's somebody who's already on board, right?
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that they're not into it, there is a tendency for them to get defensive because they look at personal development as being something where you do that if there's something wrong with you. There must be I must be broken. I need to be developed. There's something wrong.
And Chris, I had to laugh because you are absolutely right. The fact that you're having this conversation with this person, if they admit to it, it means to say that something is wrong with them. And the fact that they're against it, it means to say, I'm perfect, right?
Right, exactly. Because we all know that we have improvement that needs to be had, right? I haven't met a person yet that's at the top of the mountain. You know what I mean? There's always, you can always be better. You can always, even if your life is going really well, you can always improve.
Of course.
And they know this. And so if they're not doing anything to even look at what they could be doing better, if they're, they might not be having these thoughts at the conscious level, but at the subconscious level, a defense mechanism fires up that says, this could be an attack. This could be, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. And so then, they get defensive, and that's where that comes from. And I've had people, I remember when I first started really getting into personal development several years ago, I told them, oh yeah, I've been reading a lot of self-help books lately, and like laugh in my face, like really. And I sat back and I was like, wow, I cannot imagine having that reaction. But it's
really, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, it is so shocking. You're thinking, oh my God, I've discovered something here. And I want to share this with you. I'm so excited because in reading these books, in going to the trainings, in doing whatever it is, listening to the audio, hanging with certain type of people, it triggers something in you and you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, I was thinking about that, or that I used to question that, or yeah, I kept feeling this thing, but I couldn't figure it out. And now I have the answer. So you feel so excited to be able to share what you have discovered. Now you're empowered. Now you're full of excitement. And here you get that reaction. What the hell?
Right.
Right? You're thinking, hey, this person is going to be super excited like you, and they would want to get that book, and they would want to probably even follow or join you on that journey or discovery. But you get that reaction. But somebody who says that, like you and I, and persons listening to this or will be listening to this, when somebody decides to take up personal development, yeah, and they discover things, and you find people are reacting to you in that way that you were not expecting, what should persons like us do in a situation like that?
Well, first of all, I would not let it bother you, and try to, if you feel yourself reacting to their defensiveness, take a few deep breaths and whatnot, and just be curious about, like, oh, that's interesting that you have that response to this, but not take it personally, and just have some empathy for them. They're not in a place where they're ready to go down that road yet, and maybe they'll never get there. Hopefully someday they will, but maybe they won't. And that's okay. You don't have to fix other people.
No.
You just do it. Do what you can to improve yourself. And if other people are interested in personal development, then great. Help them out however you can. If you've got a book that you would recommend, or a podcast or something like that. But I learned a long time ago that people who are not looking for answers, you're pretty much wasting your time if you try to give them answers. And it's I would much rather work with people who are excited about improvement and are really wanting to put the effort in, and they have the energy for it, or that they know that they need help and are seeking help, rather than trying to convince somebody who doesn't want to hear it. It's a much better use of my time to work with the people that they're already sold on personal development.
Yeah, but that means losing friends, losing family, losing working colleagues, being different, standing out.
Well, it depends on what you mean, I guess. For me, I've not found that to necessarily be the case. Now, it's certainly going to be something that's going to be like a barrier to your relationship, a barrier to having increased intimacy with this person, because there's going to be certain things you're not going to really be able to share to them if they're defensive about any time you talk about personal development, and that's something you're really into. That's going to be a barrier to intimacy. You're not going to be as close to them as you otherwise could be if there was less barriers between you. Right. But you can still have friends that aren't into personal development, and family and the like. I certainly have several. And it's just knowing that, hey, when I'm with Aunt Mildred, we don't have a very good time if I talk about personal development. But if I talk about, maybe some pop culture or whatever, her favorite TV show, she's into Dancing with the Stars, or we talk about what's going on in in our family, and how my sisters are doing and their kids and all of that. We have a great time talking about those sort of things, and that's okay. So we'll do the things that we have fun together talking about. So it's like, I've had friends where when I talk to them about politics, we have a completely miserable time. And not fun. But at the same time, if we talk about sports, or maybe we go bowling, we can have a really good time together. So, and there's other friends that would have any desire to go bowling with me at all, but they would love to talk politics, and we have a lot of fun talking politics. So every person doesn't have to be everything to you. Yeah. You can find, you know what, maybe this person isn't on board with personal development, but I love them, I care about them, and I do enjoy my time with them if I stick to these certain areas. So you know what, that's what I'm going to do when I'm with them. So that's been my approach. And since I've discovered that, I have so much more peace and harmony in my life, rather than trying to share everything that's important to me at that time, and in trying to have every person be everything to me. I've got this friend. I want them to like sports with me. I want them to go bowling with me. I want them to talk politics. And it's like, no, I don't need to talk politics with them. If they don't want to, if we don't have a good time when we're talking politics, they don't have to provide that to me. I can find somebody else where I have a really good time talking politics with them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, when you're on a personal development journey, do you find that, of course, I mean, like for me personally, I don't harbor negativity. I don't tolerate having negative discussions. Some people are just fraught with just negativity, and they come into your space. It could be friend, family, colleague, it doesn't matter. And that's all they're talking about. Oh, woe is me. Nothing is going right. The world, the politics, blame the government, this kind of a talk. And you really, you're on a journey and you have made a decision, you're not into that, but your friends and family or whoever you're associating with talk about that constantly when you're trying to keep a positive life, keep a positive, but no matter what you do, that's all they talk about. How do you deal with a person like that?
Right. Yeah, that's a really great point you're bringing up, and it's something that we all face, right? Especially when we first start going down this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the first thing I have is I have empathy for them and curiosity, and we'll ask them about that and give them a chance to get that off their chest. But then once I've allowed them to, because sometimes we all need to vent, from time to time. Maybe they just need to vent and get that out. But after that, if it keeps going, I'll try to gracefully change the subject, and hopefully they will show some interest in the subjects I bring up. And if they don't show interest in the subjects I bring up, and if they don't have any awareness that I'm not interested in the things they keep wanting to talk about, that's a problem. You have to start thinking, how much time do I want to spend around somebody who doesn't have the awareness to see that I'm not really interested in what they're saying, and doesn't have any interest at all in what I have to say. How much time do I want to spend with this person? This doesn't mean you have to get rid of them. They might be a family member that, it would be really painful. This could be like a parent that never went down this path of personal development and doesn't have the awareness that you have. But that doesn't mean you have to never talk to them again. It's just maybe you limit your exposure. Maybe instead of talking to them, 3 or 4 times a week, maybe you go once a week, once every 2 weeks. Just, and take that time that you get back by not spending it with them to find people that feed your energy, that feed your positivity, that that help you to be in the space you want to be, right? Because the people that we surround ourselves with is just so important. That's just one of the most important things you can do.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the right people, because of all the benefits of that.
Yeah. I've had persons say to me, it's not good to be around people of like mind. Why why would somebody say such a thing? It's not good to be around people of like mind, because then you're following just one thing, you're not going to challenge it. Why would somebody be thinking or saying that?
Well, I mean, in some cases, there might be some truth to that. So, again, we were mentioning politics. Now, personally, I think politics is a huge waste of time, because limiting your power. You have almost no power in politics, where there's a lot of other areas where you have a lot of power. So
a lot of power, right?
Like on yourself. So why not spend your time there?
Yeah.
But it is an area where it illustrates this well, is where a lot of people in politics, they will only listen to people that agree with them.
Yes.
They don't realize at all the other person, the other side, and they oftentimes the person that's in your politics is your enemy. You have a tremendous amount of things in common with them. You guys want the same things, but if you're never listening to what the other side has to say, then you're never really going to see that. And there's a lot to be gained from listening to different perspectives. So I do like to listen to different perspectives, and that same concept does affect other areas of your life to an extent, but it's I would have to, I guess your original question is, why would they say that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they would say that. I guess I would ask them that and say, why do you say that? Explain that to me. What do you think? Do you think that? And just be curious.
Yeah, being around like minds, because if you're on a personal development journey, and we're going to be sharing the books that you recommend, and it's so coincidental that I got a little pop-up today as I open up my computer about 18 books that, business books that you shouldn't do without, and it has books like with Napoleon Hill and Ferris, and a lot of books that are business minded, but also self-development books that once you're on a journey, you should have these books. No matter what other books you have, these 18 books are the books you should have. Don't do without it. Persons who are reading certain types of books, hanging around people who read those books, that can have conversations, and your podcast is about conversation. Conversation is dialogue, communication, and you talk about choice conversation. So it's a decision. It's a personal free will decision that persons need to make as to which conversations they should choose to have. Do you want to have a conversation of negativity that is not going anywhere, that will stress you out? Or do you want to have a conversation that at the end of it or during the conversation even, you feel empowered, you feel energized, you feel joy, you feel excitement? You know, what's the choice? And I mean, your podcast is so on point, you know, in the sense of going against what that person or person said to me about hanging around like-minded people. Is like you're in this, I don't know if the person was trying to say a cult type of thing. I don't know. You know, like, oh, you just think one way. It can be extreme. Yes, I could understand that. But even with extreme, they believe in something. They believe in something, and so they follow that. In the same way how we are on a personal development journey, or others listening want to be on a personal development journey, or they are on it, and they believe in something. It's because we believe in something we are following this path. It doesn't mean to say that it's a cult. It doesn't mean to say that we're going out there to do harm to anybody. This is, as we say, it's self-development. We have recognized that there are things to work on ourselves, and we have recognized that we are broken in some way, and we want to fix that. We want to be a better version of who we are. We want to find out the potential that lies within us. So it's not a matter of hurting anybody else or trying to take advantage of somebody else. It's just really you becoming better so that your conversations, your relationships, your interaction can be better. Am I making sense?
Oh yes, the way you're wording it is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. So I don't understand when somebody, I think that person is extremist and limited in their thinking to say such a thing, and they're not open to being flexible and look at the bigger picture, you know, and look at the bigger picture. That's just my thought. I can't, you know, we have to realize, Chris, that we can't get into the minds of some people, especially when it's blocked, when they are limiting beliefs, when they, I don't know, when they just, as you said earlier, they just feel that they are not broken, they don't need improvement, they don't need to be better. Because I remember, and I'm sure it still happens, when I was younger and going to school, and you get 60 out of 100, and you come home and you think you're doing well. You know, your teacher will write on the note or on the report card, and your parent will say, can improve, you can do better. You know, even though you get 60 out of 100, you still have 70, you still have 80, 90, you can make 100. And even if you get 100, your parents are still saying you can do better. You know, there's always room for improvement. I remember that was a common statement on my report card most of the time. There's room for improvement. There's room for improvement. You know, so from a child growing up, you always feel you can challenge yourself to do more. Isn't that what self-development and personal development is about?
Yeah, I think so. And that change, like embracing that you want to change, it is threatening to other people. And that's why you get these other responses. So, you know, I've heard this from many of my clients. I do coaching sessions, and, you know, people, one of the problems that people struggle with is weight.
Yeah.
When they start losing weight, they're kind of shocked at some of the reaction they get from some of their friends. It's like, some of my friends, they don't come right out and say like that they're angry at me for losing weight, but it's like they start acting differently towards me. They start treating me poorly and cynical and condescending, you know, and it's like they're threatened by the improvements you see in their life. They're like, oh, if that person can change, if they've struggled with weight all the time I've known them, and now they've become empowered and are losing weight and they can change, it points out that, you know, somebody can change is possible. Change is possible. Because I could lie to myself and say, you know what, people don't really change. People don't really get better. Now it's right in my face.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to acknowledge that. And so I'm going to attack that. You know, again, this is not something that goes on consciously in their mind. It's a subconscious defense mechanism. It's a limiting belief.
Yes.
And they're somewhere down in their subconscious, they think, oh, this is a threat. and this could hurt me. So I need to do something to distract me from this pain that I have deep inside that I've been distracting myself from in all these different ways. And right now, this person who's improving themselves is about to unveil that pain to me, and that's not acceptable. I got to find a way to distract from that. And
That's not acceptable.
Yeah. So and again, like I said, these aren't thoughts going through their head consciously, but the subconscious, that's what's happening.
Wow.
So one of the responses to that could be to attack and be defensive. Another could be to just withdraw.
Yeah.
And you see, they just kind of withdrew, and they're my best friend used to call me all the time. She never calls me anymore. That sort of thing.
As opposed to saying, "Girl, what did you do to look so fine? I need to know what you're doing."
Right. Yeah.
That would be my response. What the hell are you doing? I need to know what you're doing. You look great. I'm always happy for people. Why is it that some people just can't be happy for you in return? Right. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I'm like, why? I recommend people, if I'm in the speaking industry as well. And if I see an opportunity that I know a sister or a brother can do it, I would say, hey, Chris, I saw so. I think this will be great for you. Check it out. I am not threatened by you. I shouldn't be threatened by you. If I'm recommending you, or you're interested, how does that affect me? And I would expect you to do the same. But what I find happening is that people are so caught up in themselves, Chris. They are so caught up in themselves, their life. You are reaching out to help others. You are looking out for other people, but they don't do it for you. What's the dynamics happening there?
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a phenomena in psychology. They call it being dissociated. And dissociation is where you pretend that everything is all right. Well, how are you doing? I'm fine. Are you really fine? It's like, I'm fine, and what, you're into personal development? Must be something wrong with you. I don't need that. And again, it's a defense mechanism where I'm going to pretend that everything's okay because deep down I know they're not, and that's painful. And I don't want to deal with that pain. I can't deal with that pain. I'm not somewhere in you don't think you can handle it. And so you hide from it. And unfortunately, if you go to a lot of people, when they start to feel that pain and get depressed, they go to see a psychologist or psychiatrist. And so much of psychiatry today is about, rather than healing those wounds, the psychological wounds, and climbing up the mountain of personal development and growth, it's about pushing you back into a dissociated state. So that's what, like, the drugs that they give them. Oh, you're feeling pain? Let's mask that. Let's give you some drugs to mask that, so you can go back to being dissociated again and pretending that everything's fine. So that's unfortunately where a lot of the the therapists out there in the world of psychology and psychiatry are at.
Wow.
And it's actually that's why life coaches are often, that's not something that life coaches are into. Life coaches are about growth and addressing the things that are holding you back and pushing through those limiting beliefs and healing your wounds. And in most cases, people find a lot more success going to somebody like me or the other great life coaches that are out there, rather than going to a psychologist who's like, yeah, you know what, you're depressed. Here's a prescription.
Yeah. Yeah. As opposed to going to the cause, as you say, the subconscious reasons, the things that you would have planted in your head, or would have been planted in your head, or that you accepted years ago, that's causing you to be who you are now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, rather than, addressing the pain and healing that, they just want to put Band-Aids on it. Instead of, why do you keep bleeding and resolve that issue? They just want to bandage the wound.
Yeah.
But
you mentioned that you started your personal development journey some years ago. Why? I want to go back a little bit into your history to share who you were before and why you felt you needed to change that path, and why personal development, why you felt that was the solution to who you are today.
Oh, well, the reason why I can speak so well about all these things is because I was that person, Corrine. I was really dissociated, and I would distract myself from the pain that I had with, um, drinking, with sports. I was really sports addicted.
Wow.
And, I'm embarrassed to think of like how much time I spent watching sports, reading about sports,
Wow.
doing like the fantasy sports. I mean, you can spend all the time that you have doing fantasy sports. Whatever time you have, it'll take from you, just like any other addiction. And one day I started to wake up from that, and I realized I was in a lot of pain. And the pain got so strong, I was at the point of like, I saw my finances. This was coinciding with like in 2008, the Great Recession, and the stock market's crashing, and I'm watching like all my savings dwindle away. And I'm noticing that I'm not happy in my job, and not happy in my marriage. I'm on the brink of divorce in my marriage. Wow. And I'm not happy with how I am as a father and the relationship I have with my daughter, and just all these things I wasn't happy with. And the pain got to be so much that I hit rock bottom. Rock bottom is when you get to the point where something has to change. You can't continue. The pain is too much. Something has to change. And there's two directions you can go at that point. One is you can go down a path of growth and self-awareness, and the other is you can go down a path of distraction. And this is something it commonly happens to people, and they call it midlife crisis. Oh, he's having a midlife crisis. And it's really common around this certain age. For men, it tends to be their 40s. Women, sometimes it's more in the 30s, where they hit the rock bottom, and then that's when you see the divorces come in. That's when you see swooping careers, and you see all these things as people are searching for answers. And some people, like myself, get lucky and go down this path of personal development. I say it's luck because I didn't know what the answer was. And one of the things that was very visible to me was looking at my savings account, my retirement funds and all of that going down. I could see that on a chart as the value is cut in half, and what the heck is going on here? I worked so hard for this and it's just disappearing. So I started investigating that and educating myself on investing and trading in the stock market and things of that nature. And when you get in that space where people are looking at how to make more money and how to be an entrepreneur and how to be successful in finance, you start to rub up against personal development. You start rubbing up against professional development and personal development, and people start recommending books like, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, in these areas where, yes, these tactics and strategies help you to grow as a person and develop your awareness, but they also to become more successful financially, but they also help you in all areas of your life and improving your relationships and finding meaning and purpose, those sorts of things. And that's, the next thing I'm reading books about this, I'm reading books about that. And I turned my life around, and in all areas, I was able to improve my life in all areas. And I'm still down that path of growth, right? I'm still.
You're always a work in progress.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Is there one particular book that really stood out for you on that journey to help you to really turn things around?
Right. Wow, there's so many that were really, really good.
I know, right? I hate when people ask that question.
I think probably one of the most important ones that you could look at is from Don Miguel Ruiz. It's called The Four Agreements.
Oh, yeah. I started reading that book. Oh, my God.
Very, very powerful. But Don Miguel, there's a lot of people, they will scan, like if you just do a Google search for The Four Agreements, you can see what they are. And they're very simple. Yeah. You're like, oh, I don't read this. I get it. Don't make assumptions. Everybody knows that. And if you don't read the book, you're really missing out on the power. Don Miguel, he points out how people's beliefs shape their life.
Yes.
How that's really what The Four Agreements is about, is examining your beliefs, questioning your beliefs, questioning these stories we tell ourselves. Okay, is this really true? Am I just telling myself a story here? Is this person sitting across from me, are they telling me a story? Do they have a different story running through their heads? And it's discovering that it's true, that so much of our reality is just a story we're telling ourselves. And realizing that, and realizing then you have the power to author your own story.
That's right.
And you really have the ability to dramatically change your life. But to do it, you have to get down to your core beliefs. Examine these things that you believe, that they're at the subconscious level that are occurring. At the conscious level, you're not even thinking about it. At the conscious level, you're in story mode. But those stories are built on a foundation of your beliefs. When you start doing this work and getting in and questioning your beliefs, what you find is a lot of times that foundation can be really shaky. A lot of those things that you believe that are driving the story you're telling yourselves aren't true. Or they're squishy at best. It's like, that's, maybe there's some truth to that, but you know what? That's something that can easily be changed. I don't have to keep living my life with that belief, basing it on that belief. There's, I can choose what I want to believe, choose beliefs that are empowering to me, choose beliefs that are going to guide my direction in the life I want it to go.
You see, the life that we have, Chris, the life that we're living currently, is based on, just like you're saying, what we believe, the thoughts, what we accept, and what we give permission to. And we need to stop blaming others. You would be in relationships, personal relationships with someone, and you might want to blame the person, but you really have to accept that it's you. You allow the person to treat you that way. You give the person permission to talk to you that way. You give permission to the person to pour those type of thoughts, ideas, values, beliefs into your head. You accepted that. So you can't really blame the other person. While yes, it may feel good to do so, if you are really on a personal development journey, you would have to take that responsibility, because it is only you in taking that responsibility that can make the change. You can say, I reject that. I do not accept that. I do not believe that. That is not my core value. That is not me. In the same person, the same body, the same energy that is giving permission for somebody else's thoughts, values, and beliefs to come into you. You also can disallow those same things from influencing you. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I agree completely. Whatever it is you take responsibility for in your life tends to improve.
Yeah.
What you don't take responsibility for, you're left to the fates, and it often will erode. It's like a garden that's not tended to tends to get overrun with weeds. Areas of your life where you don't take responsibility, they get overrun with weeds. They don't produce fruit.
Yeah.
So when you allow other, you don't take responsibility for things, you're giving up your power.
That's right. I like that.
And this is in all areas. So a lot of times, an example of this would be, a lot of times we don't take responsibility for our emotions. You made me angry. You made me feel this way. You're ruining my day.
Yeah. Because it's easy. Come on, Chris. It's easy to just point a finger and blame the other person. It takes the responsibility away from you. You're not to blame. You don't have to feel bad about it.
Right. Yeah, there's a part of you that wants to be judge and jury. And you judge that other person to be a bad person. And you're right. You're a good person.
Yeah.
And that's part of you that, this all of this stuff has roots in our childhood. We were judged by our caregivers, by our parents, our teachers, and things that say, "Oh, you were a good little boy," or "Oh, you were a bad little girl," and we internalize that, and we have this internal judge then that is always looking for, "Oh, it's not good to be a bad little boy, so I need to." I need to put this blame on the other person and judge them as being bad. Or sometimes you even judge yourself and be like, "Oh boy, I was really a bad person there." And we have these inner critics is one thing. I hear people refer to this part of our mind that's very critical, having an inner critic.
Yeah.
And in my experience, we all pretty much have these different components. They're things that we've internalized when we were growing up from the society around us. But if we don't go in and question those beliefs, we don't take responsibility for the thoughts in our head, for the emotions we're having, then we're forever at their mercy. We're puppets on a string.
I'm telling you, you're at the mercy of these things if you allow that to continue happening.
Absolutely.
You're at the mercy. And what a life to live, Chris. What a life to live. Where, just like you said, a puppet on a string to your own self, to your own self.
You've put yourself
Yeah.
in chains.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people don't realize, how much of their life is them putting themselves in a cage, putting Chains on themselves. They're the ones with the key. No one else, no one is doing it for them, but they haven't taken responsibility for it, like we were saying.
Yeah. You have the key and you have it there. You're watching the key and you're chaining up yourself. You're caging yourself. What a life, and life is so short. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That you spend yourself in prison. Imprisoning your mind, and whatever you pour into your mind is going to have a rippling effect on your body and outside of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have featuring here your most influential books, where persons can sign up and receive your ebook or the books that you would suggest to them. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep. If you go to books.choiceconversations.com, you could sign up. It's a short ebook, and it's the books that have been the most influential on my life and the ones that I recommend to my clients, to my family and friends. The 4 Agreements is one of those near the top.
For sure.
So there's a spoiler for you, but just books.choiceconversations.com, and I would love to send that to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have an intention, and I always say, even if I don't have any other room in my house, I must have a library. I must have a library. I could sleep in the library. I'm fine with that. Surrounded by books, the smell of pages, the flipping of the page. I smell books, Chris. I have to sniff the pages. I just have this thing with books. I love flipping pages. Now, ebooks are around, and that's fine. But I'm a physical print, hardcover, paperback girl.
Yes, me too.
I come from the original era before ebooks even thought about being ebooks. Okay. So right. And I'm very particular about my books. I will quarrel over my books. I don't like what we call dog ears, folding the page, but now books are so juicy, I'm folding the pages. and I have to mark up in my books. Do you do that with yours? Do you mark and make notes?
I usually will make notes in a separate document because I just can't bring myself to deface the book.
Really? I know, right? But I want to go back to that page and remember.
A lot of people I know find a lot of value in taking notes right in the book. They'll write the notes in the margins. They'll take a highlighter and highlight important passages.
Yeah.
Helpful for them to learn by taking notes as they're going along. And, if that works for them, then great. For me, I just can't bring myself to do it though, because I like you. I love a beautiful book, and when dog earing it or any of that.
Oh, I don't know. I've changed over the years. I used to be like you, write the notes outside, but now I just have such a grand relationship with my book. I don't think they quarrel if I make dog ears in them. And the more tattered it gets, I'm like, oh my God, this book is so used. It is so used. Yeah, I really, but I don't like people touching my books. That's the one thing. And don't touch my books. And I don't, and when you put a book in a particular space, and if you don't see it there, you're like, where's the book? Who touched it? Where is the book? And I don't like sharing my books. I would share and tell you the book that I'm reading. I would even buy you the book, but I'm not sharing my book. Meaning lend you, because when I lend you, it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
So I'll buy you a book. I'll buy you a book.
So I have a question for you, Corrine.
Yes.
So what is the book that you've bought the most for other people?
What is the book that
you've bought the most for other people? That you've given as a gift to other people?
I think Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich.
Oh yeah, those are 2 really excellent ones. Nice.
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich.
Mine is parent effectiveness training. So mine, whenever someone has their first child,
Mm-hmm.
that I know and I'm close to, I always give them I go out and buy a copy of Parent Effectiveness Training and give that to them.
Or you just need to call me over. I'll show them. I'll show them about effective parenting. Just call me over.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. But Chris, this has been a fabulous conversation, and sharing your journey, sharing I didn't meet you before you went on your personal development journey, but just listening to you, I'm a person of energy. Everybody's of energy, and I feel the energy of people, and I can sense a change in you. I feel that change in you, the growth in you, and so much more growth is still there in you, and continue reading, continue sharing, continue doing your podcast. It's a beautiful site done by Libsyn, right? So
That's
it's
right.
yeah, beautifully done. I love it. Podcasting is just the rage, right now. I didn't even realize that there is a podcast expo. I discovered it just the other day. There's a big conference sort of a thing that happens in the US, that podcasters from all over just attend. I didn't know, so I made contact with them. So clearly I need to be there the next time it's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great place to meet
Yeah.
people and grow your network,
Yeah, and find out what, where things are heading, what's happening in the industry, because it's an industry by itself. Who would have thought? My goodness. And it's all part of self-development, because different podcasters meet, they're focusing on a different area of your life, that you just didn't know. So it's great networking, like you said. And of course, so self-development, personal development, one and the same, is not just about reading books. You can also do it through audio. So podcasting is great. Other ways, what are some other ways that we can suggest before we close off the show, Chris, that persons can do self-development? So say somebody's very busy. I know audio is good. They could listen to it in their car. You have audio books now. What are some other ways that people can do personal development?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, reading the books is great, but all the personal development books that I know of, they all have actions for you to take.
Mm-hmm.
And you really need to, not just read the book, but then do the things that they tell you to do.
That's right.
Exercises. Maybe it's meditation. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's affirmations, or, if there's all kinds of different areas where personal development gets its fingers into, so for relationships, it's using different communication strategies than what you would normally use. Mm-hmm. Try them out, put it into practice when you're talking to your friends and family. Mm-hmm. So it's really need to act on the books as well, right? So read the books, but then go act on them.
And that's a critical thing. Yeah, they're taking action. Yeah.
Right. So if you do that, you will have positive change in your life.
Yeah.
But it's going to require that you read the books and then actually do what they tell you to do. So if you don't do it and you're like, oh, that was no good. Well, of course it doesn't, you do what they said to do,
Yeah. You didn't follow through, right?
Right.
Yeah. And no matter how busy you are, you must be able to find 15 minutes in an entire 24-hour day. Yeah. Right. Even in an 8-hour day, let's bring it down to our work day. You must be able to find 15 minutes to work on yourself. Right. You can get so much just from listening to an audio podcast or the audio books or something, or just taking action, like you say, for 15 minutes, Right. It doesn't take much time. Invest in you. That is really what we are saying, right, Chris? Invest in you.
Absolutely. Some people want something, a more personalized touch, and that maybe they have some really powerful issues that they need to work through, mm-hmm. and they need a coach. So that's another thing you can do. The quality of coaches can vary dramatically from one to another.
Right.
But if they would like to do coaching with me, they can contact me. Just send me an email at chris@choiceconversations.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's some other coaches I can recommend if you would prefer somebody that maybe you prefer to work with a female, or maybe you prefer something else. I can point out some really good ones. That way there's less trial and error trying to find one that's a good match for you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another thing as well, that some people find tremendous benefits. Maybe they're on board with personal development.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to be sold. They're looking for positive changes, and they're reading books and they're acting on it and implementing it, but they're getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
They're stuck at a certain point, and a coach can help them to see things that they can't see themselves. That's not so close to the situation that they're missing something. You know, sometimes we're so close to our own situation that we don't have the big picture. It's like, you know, when you stand an inch away from a painting, you don't see the whole painting, right?
You have to go way back.
Right. A coach can help you and be like, no, I can see the whole painting, and I see now why it is you're stuck. It's this right here. Let me help you with that. So that's another thing as well.
Yeah, that's a fabulous point. That's a fabulous point there, Chris. I love that. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being on the show. You know, like I said before, just sharing your own personal journey, you know, and why books and personal development has changed your life, and it can change others. You have shared so many nuggets. Well, I wouldn't even say nuggets, because nuggets is small. Boulders, golden boulders to knock people off their feet here. And you know, I want to wish you all the best. Continue doing that. Let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's keep in touch, because you know, we are both on the journey. We don't know, well, we do know where we will end up, because we have visualized that end point. We know where we are going to end up, because whatever you put in your mind is exactly what is going to happen. You know, I'm presently reading The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and he says, you know, once you plant that seed, the universe is just going to move heaven and earth to make it a reality.
Right.
And somehow that has just stuck in my mind. I can just see the universe moving heaven and earth for the things that I've planted in my mind to make it a reality. So we do know where we will end up, because we have already seen it, we have already accepted it, and we believe it to be so. Thank you so much, Chris, for being on Between the Lines.
Oh my goodness, this has been just a really fun, wonderful time. So anytime, Corrine.